How do good companies put themselves out of business? What are the circumstances that surround making the very best product and failing? All this and more in today's episode. And welcome back to the Murdy Creative Co podcast. I'm your host, Colin Murdy, and today's episode is how good companies put themselves out of business. But first, go check out the Murdy Creative Co website at murdycreative.co. That's M-U-R-D-Y, creative.co. And thank you for everyone who supported the company and supported the channel through that. I was listening to a great episode of a podcast, and it was put on by a company called Fern on YouTube, F-E-R-N. You can go check them out. They do these 15, 20-minute long documentary style episodes on great questions, and they do them about once a week, and they're, as good quality as anything Netflix produces, and they are awesome to watch. And I was watching one of them on a company called Superfest, and it's pronounced S-U-P-E-R-F-E-S-T. And it's an amazing story, and it was somewhat of a cautionary tale for me as I was listening to it, and it sparked a whole bunch of thoughts on how making the very best product caused this company to go out of business. Now, I've been suffering a little under the weather. As you probably can hear, I'm dealing with a head cold, and so I've been trying to rest a little bit, and I appreciate those of you who can just bear through that with me in this particular trying time. But I've been watching a little bit more of these documentaries, and one of them was talking about this company that came out of East Germany during the Cold War. And they invented a glass, and I'm going to let them tell you more about it if you'd like to go watch their episode, but they made a glass that was 15 times stronger than regular soda lime glass. Now, soda lime glass is already stronger than regular glass, per se. It's got additional additives that make it less likely to break. But this glass, it was a technical innovation for how they made the glass. It didn't actually involve changing the glass fundamentally. I guess it did on the surface, but it wasn't like they added something dangerous to it, like lead. And they made this glass that was 15 times more shatter resistant. And the documentary talks about how there are customers in East Germany right now. There are bars in East Germany right now that still have the same glassware that they had 40 years ago. Now, most bars and restaurants change out their glass half of it every year or all of it every year, depending on the kind of establishment you are. And I worked at a country club for a while, and we went through a lot of glassware. And the reason why this company, making what could only be described as the very best version of this product, the very top of the market of this product, failed was because nobody wanted to buy, at least none of the distributors wanted to buy the glass, because they wanted their customers to continue to buy glass as it broke. So making an unbreakable glass was a bad thing, because the distributors wanted to have return customers. That was the critical part of their business model. And what it actually showed me was that this concept of the subscription business model that we take as such a new kind of powerful tool like Netflix and all this, that's been around forever, right? That's been around since the dawn of time. The idea of making a product that's a consumption product that you need to rebuy is fundamentally a subscription-based model. We don't recognize it as such oftentimes, but it is. Toilet paper is a subscription-based model. Now, this got me thinking about this, because it blows my mind. I actually consider it a sin to not make a product as good as you possibly can. I consider it, it's a theological thing for me. The Bible talks about how do everything as if you're doing it for the Lord, right? So for me, every time I hear about the concept of planned obsolescence or making cars or vacuum cleaners or any particular device that's designed to be broke and thrown out after a certain amount of use, that to me seems sinful, actually. It seems disgraceful, right? And the more I go back in time and I look historically at the country, the world writ large, and innovation and that the concept of making products to last, the more I'm somewhat appalled at the results and how we've created a system that emphasizes low-cost, trash-based consumerism. Now, I actually have a broader theory about why this company failed, and it's because they were selling to distributors, glass distributors. Now, as a manufacturing company in that era, that's not shocking at all. The internet didn't exist, right? The only way to sell your glassware was fundamentally through distributors if you're a manufacturer. But there's a part of me right now that desperately hopes and wishes that somebody brings back that formula and sells it direct to consumer. And in fact, you know what? I don't know if we're going to get there anytime soon, but someday Murdy Glass might be a thing and we might do it. Because fundamentally, products that are the very best possible versions of themselves, particularly when it's done through technological innovation, those are the products that should be sold direct to consumers. I have kids. I would love to be able to have glassware that was 15 times more shatter resistant. It was heat resistant. You could get it incredibly hot without it breaking. It was the best version of glass. It should exist. It should be sold to consumers. Now, I understand why the company went out of business. They couldn't find distributors who'd wanted to sell it because the distributors were all in it for profit. And I've been a free market capitalist my entire life, and I still am. I strongly believe that the free market is the best way to allocate resources, because otherwise the only other option is to have people do it at the top or centrally planned, and people are too sinful and corrupt to have that work. That just, fundamentally that can't work. So I don't necessarily think that the free market is a problem in this case. I think that it contributed, but I think it was actually the problem is that the free market system is amoral, fundamentally. There is no morality in it. It only has its morality because the people operating within it have moral parameters. Now, in a strongly Christian society where other business owners also feel that it is their duty to their employees, to their customers, to their community, to the society at large, to make the very best versions of their product and to do it in an honorable and fair way, only in that circumstances can we say that the best and most positive version of the free market can really come to fruition. Otherwise, we create systems where these things break down, and the ability for the best product to rise, to be actually sold to the customer, gets influenced by greed and other things along those lines. And unfortunately, the only antidote is to have moral business leaders, to incentivize for business leaders to be moral in their operations. Now, the free market system's solution to this is competition, right? If someone had existed in the I think it was 70s when this was around, who was able to sell directly to their customers and said it was my moral responsibility and my duty to sell this best product to these customers for a reasonably expensive price, you can make them more expensive. You're offering a better product. It should be more expensive, right? I don't have any qualms about that, right? But if you said it's my moral obligation to buy this good product and sell it to these customers because that is what should be done. And I understand that it may end up limiting my future customer base. If that moral person had existed, they probably would have owned the market. They would have taken the market. And the answer is, well, they would have only taken it for a little while because then people would have had all the glassware they need. And how do you solve that problem? This week's limited edition hint is hand-distressed brown. And I have a thought, because this has been on my mind quite a bit. Because we make journals, binders, folios, other things like that, and we make the very best on the market. And they're designed to last forever. And they are backed by a warranty that's designed to make sure that even if they don't, they do. But what happens when everybody in the world has one of our journals? Now, first off, I hope that's a problem I get to deal with someday. That would be an awesome, amazing problem to have. The short answer is that's not likely to happen in my lifetime. So if you're my great-grandchildren operating the Murdy Creative Company and you're dealing with that problem right now, congratulations. I'm glad you're dealing with it. Here's a solution. Diversify. Make the very best of every product out in the market. We're going to start with leather journals and leather binders and leather folios, and we're going to expand our product line to making the very best in pens and bags and other things. And someday we're going to make the very best in toys, and we're going to make the very best in glassware. Someday we're going to invent a light bulb that lasts 10,000 hours rather than 1,000. And we're going to break the monopoly and the cartels that have owned the light bulb market and have intentionally and illegally, in my opinion, suppressed the ability for those light bulbs to last as long as they possibly could. Go look that up if you're curious. In the 1920s, there was a race to produce the longest lasting light bulb. And then suddenly, all of the companies got together and agreed, wait a second, we should stop doing that. We should make light bulbs only last a very short period of time. And if we all agree to it, then they won't have any other choice. Now, that's cartelish behavior. That is not the free market, and that is a failure for that to be the case. And you should see that, because that's the thing. So how do you solve the problem of I want to make the very best product that lasts forever, but by doing so, I almost guarantee that at some point I put myself out of business? The answer is diversification. The answer is that if I can make a brand that is known for its longevity, for its durability, for its quality, for its unwavering attitude of the lifetime that it should exist, people will come back and buy something else from me with that same mentality. And that's how we can create a better version of this. That's how we get away from the trash-based consumerism that has just destroyed our lives, destroyed our economy. It is so much better for someone to spend 5 times more on something and have it last 50 times longer. But they don't have that option right now. And we've also not done a very good job explaining and teaching people that that is a much better trade-off. Because right now, people are putting themselves into debt buying garbage. That's a formula for failure. There's no way to get out of that. That right there is a formula for failure. So the only solution is to either not take on the debt, or if you're going to take on the debt because you are buying something that will far, far surpass the lifespan of the debt. Because then it's an investment. That's a different story. Now, there are some products out there that I understand just can't be ultra long-lasting. Because of the nature of the use case, certain things just have to be consumed, right? Toilet paper, making long-lasting toilet paper may not be the best version of that. I will be the first person to cop to the idea that certain products must be, by their nature, consumable. But I think it's a far fewer number than we are currently existing within. The things that we buy should last a long time. They should be easy to repair when they break. They should be built with the idea that if parts of them do break or are consumed, they are cheap and easy to replace, and the replacements work just as well as the originals. That needs to be a mentality. And that's how you take and make a company that makes good products that doesn't put themselves out of business. Now, the good news is we're a long way from exhausting our market. And the good news is we are actively developing new areas of expansion for us, for the company. And we are going to go into those areas with just the same vim and vigor towards our attitude about longevity as we have with those products as with our current products. And I'm very excited to see them come to the market. And hopefully, that mentality continues to power us forward. The fight against planned obsolescence must be something that we all take very seriously. It must be something that we all say to ourselves, it's a moral obligation for us to do the best we can with our money and our purchases, as business owners with what we make and what we produce, as employees with our attitudes towards the production that we put out. We have to say we are going to do our very best. And that's hard. It really is. But we can do it, and we should do it. And just think about a world where we did that. Think in your mind for a moment about what a world would be like if everything was made to a very, very high quality of standard of quality, and everything was made to last for a very, very long time. And the things that were consumable were made in such a way that the parts that broke down were easy to replace and easy to fix, and it was expected that rather than throwing something out, you fixed and replaced it. Imagine how much better our world would be, how much less trash we would have. And we would be able to do that in some regards because the expensive things would last a lot longer. We'd be able to pass things on to our children. There are refrigerators out there right now that were made in 1940, 1950. Some of those refrigerators still work. They have to be repaired occasionally, but they still work. Imagine if you were able to buy a refrigerator today that was built to be passed on to your children and your grandchildren. Think about how generational wealth would work then if what you bought today was something your grandchildren could use, and it would work well for them. Now all of a sudden the idea of buying things and them being expensive is much more of something that could be palatable. Because an expensive thing that lasts for generations, now that's a gift. Now you're not just buying it for yourself. And if things truly are expensive and well made, you also get to enjoy them because they're better quality. You get to enjoy them for longer, and it's a much better quality of an experience. That's the world that I want to make. That's the world that we should all want. And I think that we as a community, as a group of people, should spend our time and money investing in places like that. And I'm pleased to say that it seems like we are. It seems like more and more are the millennial generation and those above and below us in our age groups are starting to invest more in the idea that things should be expensive and well made. And they should last. And I hope that continues. I'm excited to be one of the businesses that's committed to that idea. I hope more come. I would welcome the competition if it meant that we as a society could have a better and more robust lifetime. And it's the little things. The devil's always in the details. Anyway, I appreciate all of you who have been supportive of the company and have invested in good quality things that you will give to your children. I'm hoping that we can continue to expand and to do new things. And for any company out there that's trying to evaluate whether it's worth it to build a product that will put them out of business at some day, do it anyway. Solve that problem when you come to that problem. But in the meantime, do the right thing and build the best product you possibly can. And build it with the best materials you can possibly come up with. Do your best. That is the simple answer. And it works. It really does. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast. I want to hear from you what you think of this idea. I want to hear what you think about the idea of a company making the very best and then diversifying. Do you think that would work? Do you see problems with it? Because frankly, if you do, I'd like to know them now so I can prepare for them. If you got any concerns or questions about your product that you've bought, reach out to us on the website. We are happy to help. Landing page has got a contact us form. You can also call us and text us 414-434-9001. That's 414-434-9001. We're real people. We want to help. So reach out to us if you got any questions or concerns. We are happy to help. If you're looking for bulk orders, custom items, we have no minimum order quantities and no setup fees. It's just a simple flat fee per item. You can go use our customizer tools built into the website to get your own custom engraved item. You can get just one if you want, but if you want to get a whole bunch for your company, please reach out to us. We have bulk orders built directly into the cart, so you can add your own items to the cart, mix and match to your heart's desire. It's just based off of the total cart quantity, and you can check out. We appreciate all of you. We really do. Thank you very much. Have a good day, and goodbye.